Now, this is a lovely shed, and for a lot of people might think, well, yeah, it's not a big deal. You have a shed, you put a lawnmower in it. Well, not for us, because what we've done is we've run out of room in a garage that when we work on more than one bike at a time, or in the case last year, we were painting one and working on one, and somebody comes over to work on their bike, it really gets crowded. So I had decided to pick up this shed at Lowe's. And I looked at it and I said, geez, I can put a lot of junk out in there, even if I put all my stuff that's always in my way out there. And I looked at this shed, I measured carefully where it's going to go, because I have to combine it with a shed that I already have back there, a little one. And this looked like it would fit the bill. And of course the fun thing is, it always says, some assembly are required. Well, you open the box, after we get it off Luciano's truck, and there's 10,000 screws holding this thing together. But relatively straightforward. This is the area, and I have this area leveled out and slates put down so that we had these slates somewhere else in our yard. I leveled it all out very meticulously, because I know these sheds have to be on a solid, if you put them in dirt they just sink into the mud. And of course some assembly required, and it's really funny to do this because it really is. There's a lot of screws. And they tell you on the box that it's a two-person job, so it turned out not to really be a two-person job. You need one person with three hands a lot of the time. You got to drill a lot of pilot holes, a lot of screws. I lined up all the parts, and I totally screwed this up. Because of the way I've become accustomed to, see, they have these letters, each part has its own letter and which side is up, and I just assumed when I started reading the directions, I didn't really realize there were two C's and two D's. And so when I start snapping it all together, I added about an hour to the job by doing this too. I had put up the corner just like they say, and do this and do that, grease all the parts with WD-40 where they join together, and blah. It all looks easy, but I never took into account I didn't have the two C's in the right place. I had them on the wrong side, so what happened when I went to do the other side, the parts didn't marry up. So I, of course, at that point in time, then I'll go back and read the directions after I screw it up. And anyway, from that point on it went pretty straight, and it really was a one-person job. Snapping these things in, and you take a rubber hammer, beat them in, the walls all get solid. It has all these molded in hooks for hanging rakes and Suzuki engines and whatever else is going to go in there. Now the purpose of this is, once I got the walls up, of course, the roof is the difficult part. Getting some of the screws in, it's really awkward, but it's definitely doable. It's not a, I don't know, not something that's really super difficult. And then Karen was around, and we had the baby around here this day, so she just came back and gave me a hand with a couple of the little things. You needed somebody to hold something while I drilled pilot holes and whatever. And she was real happy the way this worked out, because we're going to be able to really make our life out in the garage. And believe it or not, the baby loves hanging out in the garage. The baby is going to, you know, be a part of this. I'm going to have to put some of his toys in the garage now. So as it looked, this is the way. This is our old cabinet. We have two of them. We're going to get rid of one. This is nice now that it's got old rakes and shovels. I can put garbage cans in front of it. This is a lockable shed for snow blowers, and what it does, it just gives us room. Now see, here's a case. I'm working on this bike. I'm putting handlebars on this bike, getting rid of the clip-ons, turning it into a real true street bike. But now there's like no room to work here. Everything is crowded. So now you bring a second bike in, it's almost impossible.